Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to have a pretty important discussion today. Of course, if you've been keeping up with the channel, you know that there's been a lot of videos made by yours truly regarding Wuthering Waves 2.7, the lack of content, in my opinion, especially when it comes to things like combat and event design, and of course, the overall level of disparity when it comes to story content and basically everything else in the patch. Because 2.7 is basically just 3 login events, a minigame, and then the story. That's pretty much all we have ready to go. And the thing is, there's been a lot of feedback towards me as a content creator regarding some of these issues. And the statement that I wanted to focus on was from my most recent video, Wake Up, where, again, we rehash some of the issues, talk about some of the lost potential of the game, and then indicate where the Kuro devs are falling into the footsteps of the Genshin devs, developing great things and then proceeding to do nothing with them. And then from here, we've been seeing this comment. We've been seeing this comment a lot. Basically, every single creator who's been critical about a lack of content in the past 3 versions of the game, 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7, with 100 days of no combat event, we've all been receiving comments similar to this. Here we go again. It seems all the gacha CCs are getting ready to jump ship once more. Just like Genshin, then it was HSR and ZZZ, now it's WuWa. Tomorrow it will be, guys, Duet Night Abyss, Ananta, Enfield, etc. suck and I don't like the game anymore. Me and other content creators are leaving. And so these comments are starting to get upvoted a lot, right? Because one thing is abundantly clear. A lot of these individuals seem to think that this is just a content creator issue, that they're the only ones complaining about it. So I decided, why don't we go ahead and for the topic of today's video, why don't we look at what the community is saying regarding 2.7? Because these guys aren't CCs. These guys are just players of the game. And this is the thing. I understand that this is the r/Wuthering Waves subreddit, but it's no lie at all to say that the r/Wuthering Waves subreddit has been held a lot more accountable lately. The moderation team is allowing up more posts and deleting more posts that are clearly intended to be way more doom posty about the game. I don't think it's really r/Brigading Waves anymore. Especially after the content that we've made, right, in the past, where we've lambasted the mods for deleting posts like this. We've lambasted the mods for going ahead and trying to censor discussion on the female rover situation. They uncensored it because, again, you gotta tell some individuals when they're not doing their job properly, embarrass them, and then they'll start doing their job properly. I think that's occurred. Right? I think it's occurred pretty adequately in the subreddit. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to gauge what the community as a whole is saying about, well, WuWa's second half after version 2.4 and see whether or not it's just a creator issue. Whether or not it's just, oh, it's just a small subsection of individuals who are complaining about a lack of content. And so they're just rallying up the community to fight on their behalf because they're just being selfish. Or is it just people that want to play Wuthering Waves? So let's go ahead, let's take a look at this post and then just start reading some of the comments and get a pulse check on what the community is feeling. All right, so WuWa's second half after 2.4, we've got SpongeBob looking dry as hell. Please add more co-op permanent events. I don't need rewards. I kind of just want to use my characters and enjoy the game after story and exploration. Any repeatable ones like Peak and Prestige, Co-op Hologram, Monolith Defense, Co-op Races, or just something. The current gameplay is logging in and jumping around and spamming left click. I already play other games and it only highlights how this game has so much potential, yet no replayability. Touching grass is not necessary. I do field work every day, so that's covered. So, naturally, right, this is a very, very strong opening post, comes in with a lot of suggestions, you know, gives harsh critiques on the current state of the game, and of course, negates some of the immediate criticism that the opening poster is going to receive. I received this comment as well. Go touch grass. Motherfucker, we have been playing the game for 5 minutes every day in the second half of the patch for 100+ days. Touching grass at this point isn't really an acceptable answer because that's what everyone has been doing. Because we've been doing that for the past 90 days. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start reading some of the comments. What is the community saying in response to this? It's a highly upvoted post. It's got a fair number of comments. We'll make sure to read the best ones. And of course, some of the controversial ones too. And see what's getting upvoted and what isn't. Remember, this is the main subreddit after all. We are gonna have some Astroturfers. And don't worry, we'll see examples of them later. So, first one. They have a goddamn gladiatorial arena Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more to make this a little bit better looking. They have a goddamn gladiatorial arena that we don't do shit with. I would love some actual challenge with customizable difficulty. Glad to see other individuals who are upset with the clear lost potential behind. Well, let me just go back to my video so I can reference the exact point that we're talking about over here. Right about here. Yep, this is the exact gladiatorial arena that they're talking about, right? Something that was introduced in version 2.4 of the game, showed potential for co-op battles, battles with summonable echoes, all of that, and there's been nothing done with this except turning this arena into a portal for the Lady of the Sea, the Mia boss. That is all that this arena is currently used for after its bombshell reveal in version 2.4. Remember, Septimont is the place of combat, right? It's the region of combat, all of that. The region of gladiatorial fights, the Great Aegon, and, well, yeah, this arena has only been used, I think, for Pokemon battles following the story. So, yeah, fair complaint over here. Yeah, it's so bad how we get such cool locations to explore, but nothing to do with them after you've seen them. Isn't that really highly similar level of feedback that Genshin players often gave to Hoyoverse? The Genshin players that quit the game, by the way, where they talk about the wasted assets that the company is not using, all of the lost potential that could have been used for greater things, but instead it's just laid to the wayside after it launches and that there's nothing really going on. Should give us a random red enemy to fight there every day for 1 to 10 astrite. Fair, right? They're just, people are in solutions mode right now. And you can see that this is what the Wuthering Waves community is all about, right? This is clearly a complaint post, right? Talking about the lack of stuff. But even in the complaint post, there's solutions. And in all the replies, well, there are solutions as well. It would be cool if they add some craftable 5-star weapons and add game modes where you farm shards to craft them eventually. Okay, some people are throwing around like the Do It Night Abyss ideas. Pretty based, like to see these responses from the community. It looks very, very civil over here. Love the way that this community is interacting right now. Dude, WTF, you are 100% correct. Have you heard of Virtual Tower? Blah, 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 all of that. Really good overall comment thread. I know we could read more, but, you know, we're not going to dig too deep into the nested replies. I should have never ran through content like I did when I started a few months ago. Keyword, a few months ago. Now I log in, run around, and look at the landscape, do my dailies, then log out. Every once in a while, I'll try WuWa again to see if I can get a higher score, but it's getting stale. So this is when I think this individual started the game. Let me just show all of you right now. They likely started the game during version 2.4, where a lot of people actually started this game in version 2.4, right? There was a heavy amount of advertising done for Cartithia. She had a bunch of different ads. She had a bunch of different, like, IRL pop-ups, all of that. And 2.4 was literally, in my opinion, the best patch the game has ever received. I actually think 2.4 was better than version 2.0. That's my honest perspective. And my take is that they went in, they had this patch, multiple combat events, all of this stuff, banners never fall, still login events. It was just awesome, right? A lot of things to do, and they even had the mini game on top of it for the more casual players. Even, like, veteran combat enjoyers love this event as well. But then you start taking a look at every single version afterwards, ladies and gentlemen, and you're kind of just like, oh, there's not a lot of stuff to be doing in here. So, yeah, that's kind of like the thing, right? You look at version 2.6 onwards, right? And that's the current update that everyone's complaining about. There's even more events in 2.6 than there are in version 2.4, right? But this is just this is a mini game. This is a login event. This is like story mini game. It's like a leisure event. It's just a bunch of dialogue, right? Exploration, returning event, exploration, login event, login event, login event, minigame, minigame. And then for the last one, we're going to start looking at version 2.5. And, well, same exact thing. The same exact thing. Minigame, Dreaming Deep update, which, again, it's an update to an existing game mode. Some consider this a combat event. Others say it actually made Dreaming Deep worse by trivializing the combat completely. Where, again, you just clear the combat stages in 10 seconds because every single enemy explodes instantly. Some could say that doesn't really count. Minigame, exploration, login event, and photo event. That's been everything after version 2.4. And so, I don't find it problematic at all. I actually find it to be pretty natural that if somebody were to have started the game around 2.3 or 2.4, they logged in, they saw all these amazing events, all of this super fun stuff to do across the entire patch, and then every single event afterwards, they don't have anything to do. wouldn't that explain a significant amount of player fall off? Where you went in, you came into the 2.4 patch, there's a lot of reasons why you stayed, why you played all the content in that patch, and then imagine you were somebody that stayed for the content, that stayed for the combat, and then afterwards, there's nothing to do in the next couple of patches. Well, let's be real here. That's going to lead to a lot of people that came in during the hype of 2.4 to immediately leave because essentially they're getting gaslighted. They got promised a lot of these things, or they perceived that there was a promise that a lot of these high quality events were going to be in here, and then in the future subsequent patches, all they're getting are the mini games. And if they like them, then they stay. But if they don't, what is the incentive for these newer players that started later in the version that were in the game for combat? We don't really know, right? And it's no lie at all to say that things like viewership, CCV, viewership on Resonator spotlights, all of that, it's all gone down since 2.4. And naturally, that just might be some people leaving because they're, just burnt out of the game as a whole, or it's not for them. But I think that there's a fair number of players like this in the player base if this is the second or third most upvoted post. And once again, this is why we're reading what the players themselves are saying, not the CCs. Because oftentimes, despite what you guys might think, a lot of YouTube commenters aren't actually that clever. And oftentimes, CCs are just reflecting the actual voices of the community. And hopefully you're seeing here that there's a lot of voices that share the same exact sentiments. This isn't just a CC problem. Why bother even logging in daily? Just take a break from the game and play other things until new content drops. And this is how you get people to quit the game. If you're gonna make the daily login loop so fucking boring that people are incentivized to log off, then free-to-plays are just gonna quit the fucking game because they don't have any pulls to get any of the characters. And so this essentially just leads, this kind of argumentation just leads to the game dying. Glad it's getting mass downvoted. And the response to that, right, which is naturally the main counter argument, is getting mass upvoted. Well done. All right, next comment. What kind of... This is a crazy name. Anyways, damn right. We got to be vocal about this because it feels like it's been ages since a good combat event. There is no reason that the region of Gladiators has the fewest combat events in the game. We've had 2. They were both in one patch in the region that the Gladiator Arena was released. And so people thought, oh my gosh, Septimon is all about battles. We got 2 combat events in the first Septimon update. And then, well, you know how the rest of it went. Half of next patch is login events disguised as real events. It's gonna get real dry once you do the story, and that's pretty inexcusable for a game with combat, well, this good. All right, guys. Are you guys ready? So you're gonna notice, right, that when we looked at the events tab on this website, Game 8, the events tab in all the other versions were like a double header, right? Where it showed like, it had like 2 columns and shit like this, and like you had to scroll down like crazy to see it. Yeah, this one's a single header. So they had to fill it out somehow, so they gave an event summary that they didn't give for any of the other updates. You got a minigame, login event, a photo event, a parkour event, and then a login event. So it is currently the patch. If you thought 2.5 and 2.6 were dry and didn't have that much content, 2.7 is going to have less than both of those versions. It's going to have less than both of those versions. And so if you were a person that felt like you were suffering or that you were losing engagement with the game during 2.5 or 2.6, it's literally, there's no way it's going to get better. Unless the Vampire Survivors game mode is like worthy of game of the year, it's just going to be worse. And a lot of people have already said 2.5 and 2.6 are the reasons why they left the game, or the reasons why they're currently on a break, the reasons why they're not spending, doing dailies, all of this. If this is the argumentation some people are having, guys, some people are actually doing this. And it's only going to get worse in 2.7 because there's less to do than the previous 2 versions, potentially even combined. It has been ages since a good combat event. I didn't realize it since it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it's been almost a whole third of a year since we've had a combat event, nearly 120 days. That's way too long to go without a combat event in at least what's supposed to be a combat-driven game. And the unfortunate part about the community is that they've gone ahead and they're starting to do some really dumb shit. There's one reply in particular that I want to read that's like about 17 essays long. This guy wrote a fucking... This is why I said, I remember this comment. I'm going to focus on only one part of this essay over here. Wuthering Waves in the description made by Kuro Games explains that Wuthering Waves is an open-world RPG with a rich story. This is the first sentence in WuWa's game description. Rich story. So where is the combat explained? Guys, these people are taking these guys are taking the Google Play Store summary of the game and indicating that there should be, that combat is like not even like a focus at all because they read the summary of the game's description on the Play Store and then proceeded to write an essay about it. Guys, I think these are like actual Astroturfers. Now that I look at the comments, they're a public subscriber to my channel. Yes. But that's what a lot of fucking Astroturfers do. They go ahead, they sub to your channel, and then they get a first beeline to your videos so they can spread whatever narrative they want. What? I don't even know what the fuck this is. I think this person is mentally ill, frankly, if I'm being honest. This is the type of narrative, though, that people are starting to spread now. And I have nothing else to believe other than these guys are intentionally just trying to sabotage the fucking game. And so you can clearly see over here, right? There's some crazy shit that's being spread around right now to try to defend the fact that there's no content to do in the game. And people are publicly admitting to losing interest or just quitting because of that. And so, well, what do you think? What do you think comments like this and narratives like this are doing? Probably aiding in the migration of all these players. I pray for the day co-op hologram event returns, or I pray for the day the co-op hologram event returns. This guy doesn't know how to type. Instead of all these mini games and other game ripoffs as main events. Such a waste. I mean, I don't really have much more to say about that other than I don't really think it's a waste to have the mini games. But when minigames are the only thing you have to do, well, it's going to actually... This is the unfortunate part and dynamic that I think a lot of people might not register. When you do this 3 patches in a row, people that didn't hate the minigames are going to start hating the minigames. That's the truth about the matter. People in 2.4 were perfectly fine with the minigame of All Out Peaks of Prestige because, well, they saw that they were getting all these combat events as well. But when you get 3 patches in a row where all you get are minigames and no combat events, none of the stuff that you liked, you might like this as like a 6, 7 out of 10, but you view the combat events as a 9 or 10 out of 10, well, you're now going to get upset because it feels like these events that you like, but you don't like that much, are taking the place of the events that you do like. And what is that going to what is that going to do with like your mental state, like how you're thinking about these? You're going to just start disliking every single minigame, regardless of whether it's actually good or not, because you feel like it's coming at the cost of the content that you love. And so Kuro is really, I don't think they fully understand the extent of what planning and scheduling like this is doing. It's probably causing a lot of the player base to be completely fucking turned off by all these tertiary game modes instead of taking a break from the overall gameplay of the game, because that's what I viewed these mini games as. When I want to take a break from like the echo farming, the Wuthering Waves, the combat, the intro skills, the outro skills, the concerto, then I can just hop into a mini game, right? And then just, you know, experience some goofy mechanics, take a bit of a break. It doesn't really work to take a break when there's nothing that made me tired in the first place. There's no point in having, at least in my opinion, the original approach that I had before when it came to these mini games, when there's no baseline content for me to get quote-unquote tired of in the first place that I need a break from, much like there was in the version 2.4 update. And so it just feels like these mini games are taking away from the content that people want to play. And this is the thing. The people that like the mini games won't have an issue with it, because the content that got taken away was the stuff that maybe they weren't fans of. But believe me when I say this, I think a significant number of people in this thread would be more than okay with all these minigames getting removed and all of them being replaced with reruns of co-op holograms or Virtual Crisis or Septimont Gladiator Arena fights. They would probably be okay with that. And this is the thing. One part of this player base is clearly being satisfied over here, but the end result of this is that you will split your player base completely. You'll have a side of people that will just hate You are developing a player base that will be conditioned to despise every single minigame you ever push out in the future because you have basically given them PTSD by having a flood of minigames and no other content for 1/3 of 2025. How do you think this part of the player base that has been conditioned to be basically traumatized by fucking minigames, how do you think they're going to respond to any more minigames in the future? This is what I'm personally going to be doing. I'm personally going to tell Kuro, this is personally what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell them to start taking out minigames from the game. I'm basically going to tell them, I will literally start playing less, doing all of these things, if all you're going to provide is a fucking minigame and nothing else in the update. Because you are literally wasting the money that I'm giving you. You're wasting the engagement, the daily active use, all of that. Because this isn't what I want as a player. I'm okay with minigames. I'm not okay with only minigames. That's what I'm going to put on my survey. Because it's clear that if it continues down this trend, I'm going to just fucking hate every single minigame. I'm going to form a natural just sort of lack of tolerance to any tertiary game mode for this game in the future. Because you have essentially blown it. You blew it. This was a good balance, but you fucking blew it. Because you keep spamming these on fucking repeat with no break. These events are taking like 4 to 5 hours to do to full complete them for the Astrite. I kind of am like tired of it when there's nothing else to balance out the patch. So it's literally, I'm at the point where it's like, there are people that are probably dreading to log in because they'll be reminded about this fuck-ass event that they don't actually want to play. And there's nothing else for them to do, but hey, they still got to get the Astrite, right? Hey, remember this? You still got to get the free pulls if you're a free-to-play. Imagine you're a free-to-play player that doesn't like the minigames, but you buckle down to go play TD for 5 hours because that's what you need to do for the fucking Astrite. But you actually wanted to play. What would you do? Are you just gonna quit the game at that point if you're a free-to-play player? What about the news of the next patch when it's the same exact thing over again? There are a lot of people that are not thinking about anybody other than themselves in this equation. What does the free-to-play combat enjoyer have to do? Literally, it's a chore every patch. A 5-hour minigame for Astrite, and then no combat events. Think about the free-to-plays that have been day one players. When WuWa didn't really have that fleshed out of a story, right? And all they had were like these combat events, Somnoir, all of that. And that's why they stayed with the game. That's why they enjoyed the game. That's why they were an early investor in the game back in the day. These veteran F2P players, maybe, that are just entirely, that love the combat, now they're going ahead and they're being told, hey, you need to go play a minigame for 5 hours a patch to get your pulls. Oh, surely there's like a virtual crisis. No, there's no virtual crisis. There's no co-op hologram. There's nothing else. We got login events and then 5 hours of minigames every patch. Yeah, it doesn't really seem that good, does it? Louder for people in the back. Nice comment. Good ad. And this is one of the favorite ones in the thread for me. Sorry, but that's too much for all the people working 8 jobs, studying for 12 degrees, and having 4 wives and 28 children. Enjoy your 4th rendition of Click on the Window to see an animation and claim free stuff. And make sure to come back tomorrow because it's time gated. Hey guys, I feel like I just need to take a look at the 2.6. I feel like surely there's like a fleshed out thing for the TD mode, right? Yeah. This thing over here, guys, this shit takes around 4 to 5 hours to full complete for all the rewards. That is longer than any combat event. That is longer than... This is probably one of the, if not the longest event in the game to complete. This requires a time commitment that is far beyond any other event we've ever had in the history of the game. And people have brought forward this absurd argument that they're too busy to do combat events. They're too busy to do all of these other events that people are suggesting, but suddenly they have time to do the longest fucking event in the history of the game. It was the same thing with the fishing. It's probably going to be the same thing with Vampire Survivors. I'm going to be honest, guys. It's an argument that makes absolutely no sense, but it's been reiterated over and over again. And you want to know how I know? Because there's a mass upvoted post on the Wuthering Waves subreddit where somebody was talking about, anyone else appreciate how hefty this patch 2.6 is? When it's 5-hour event, login event, and there's actually not, it's just login event, and then the exploration event. This is the menu that they're like, oh yeah, this is a hefty patch. Here's the 5-hour title defense event for the first half, and here's 2 logins, and then there's nothing else. And they're like, look how hefty this patch is. Again, I 9,000% believe this person's on crack or an astroturfer, one of those. And this is the comment. Someone posted, this is a time-gated event, so I quickly log in and find out it's a simple login and claim, which I very much preferred, as I have not even started on the rest of the event, the Defense Tower one, not to mention finishing the MSQ for this patch, as I can't play much because of schedule. Guys, this was 8 days ago, just so you know. That was on September 25th. That's about 30 days into the 42-day patch, and this guy over here is like, I love that every event this second half is a login because I have not started anything. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a bit of a hot take. Maybe you can disagree with this. Maybe you'll immediately unsub and dislike the video after you hear this. If you're 30 days into the update and you have not started anything in it, maybe you shouldn't get the rewards. Maybe if you're 32 days into the update and you just had no plans of ever playing the game, maybe if you don't play the game, you shouldn't get the rewards that are designed around you playing the fucking game. You saw his wait. Does somebody have this guy's user profile? Wait. Somebody bring me this guy's user profile. Because, well, this is the thing. They hid it. This is a common thing that you find in Wuthering Waves players, or sorry, fake Wuthering Waves players, when they comment on the subreddit. You right-click, you open up their profile, and this is oftentimes what you see. Nothing, because they hide it. However, though, we just pop their username into the search bar, and what you see is Kafka mains, Black Swan, Kafka, Herda, ZZZ Official, Acheron mains, Fei Zhao, Sunday mains, Kafka, Fei Zhao. Hey, anyone see Wuthering Waves yet? Oh, I see Malaysia. We see them complaining about something 7 months ago. Herda mains, Kafka mains, Acheron, Dan Hung, Sunday. Zenless Zone 0 leaks from 1.5. Isekai Memories. Okay. Probably don't need to go much further than there. So, yeah. This person's basically saying, I want Wuthering Waves to be entirely login events because I spend 95% of my time playing Hoyoverse games. It's a schedule issue, by the way. I spend 95% of my time playing Hoyoverse games, and so I need every WuWa event to be a login so that I can dedicate all of my time to HSR and ZZZ, and I can still get the full rewards in WuWa. These are the motherfuckers telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that patches of just login events are good. These are the motherfuckers telling you that they don't have enough time. They're just lying, pretending that they're busy because all they do in this, they don't actually play this fucking game. They pretend to play it, probably, but they're actually out busy playing Hoyoverse games instead. And would you look at that? There's a reason why this is the top upvoted comment, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I always say this community is getting astroturfed from fucking hell. Because there's a reason why, once again, ladies and gentlemen, every single person that has a top upvoted post in the WuWa subreddit has their profile hidden. And this is my ass. Yo, mods, if you really want to clean this fucking subreddit up, ban everybody whose profile looks like this. No lie. Ban every motherfucker whose profile looks like this, and you will have less astroturfers on the subreddit. Because looky here. Whoa, I wonder why they're hiding this as they're posting about how having no content in WuWa is a good thing. Oh, I love the schedule. This is great scheduling, all of this. This is awesome. You, my friend, are exactly the reason why the devs are doing more leisure events. And I hope the people complaining about having nothing to do need to understand that if WuWa is built around no-lifing, then the busy people... Oh, right. Yeah. We should design Wuthering Waves in a way where it becomes the Giga side game so that these guys can go main HSR and ZZZ. Oh, awesome. Great. Hook, line, and sinker. We got him, boys. Oh, we fucking got him, boys. We got fucking baited by a Hoyoshill, and now we are actually doom posting the game. We got baited by a Hoyoshill where all they do is play HSR and ZZZ and then play WuWa as a character collector simulator. While they're talking about meta and shit like that for all their other games. Oh, we should definitely design the game around these guys. You're right. Oh, totally. I see why there's so much backlash now. This is an amazing explanation. You have a bunch of loser Hoyoverse players who are playing WuWa as a character collector simulator, not engaging with any of the combat, any of the events, openly admitting to 30 days in the patch, not fucking doing anything, but then being this dedicated and this up to date for Hoyoverse games. And then they're going ahead, they're pretending to be WuWa, actual WuWa players. They're not, they're fucking side game enthusiasts, going around to all these posts, mass downvoting them. And actually, I was right when I said that all of the discussion regarding 2.7 was getting heavily fucking astroturfed. Because if this is not fucking evidence and proof, and you can literally see how actual WuWa players are getting fucking ruined by this shit, that's crazy. And like I said before, I think Kuro Games is getting influenced way too much by these bums who are literally not playing the fucking game, are pretending to, but then just openly admitting, I'm 30 plus days into the patch and I haven't done anything. Why design the game around these guys? Why support designing the game around these guys? Well, I'm glad we were able to do an expose over here. And like I said, the Wuthering Waves subreddit is getting cleaned up, but a lot of people are going to slip through the cracks because they do this. But when they do this, ladies and gentlemen, remember to do this. Because this, a hidden profile with posts in the WuWa subreddit, is the biggest red flag in the space. The biggest red flag in the space. And if you don't do any further investigation, well, you're going to get astroturfed. That is what it is. And I'm glad we were able to do the expose over here. Too easy. All right, let's keep moving on. We're going to cover a couple more of them. Hey, you're exaggerating. Sometimes it's also teleport to a point and let the game auto-complete a track for you or solve a puzzle for 5-year-olds in 20 seconds per day. Well, when you have Hoyoverse players who are, again, not engaging with any of the content in the game and are treating it as a character collector simulator, hey, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. But then again, you gotta ask yourself the question, is Kuro Games appeasing that part of the player base worth it for all of the day one players, all the F2Ps, all of like the, you know, early adopters of the game getting fucked? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's really worth it. Jesus Christ, the memory of your words on log provokes some kind of weird primal rage that our ancestors must have felt when they discovered their village was raided by a hostile tribe. They have so many cool designs for minigames, and they're just wasted. I swear if they don't turn Overflowing Palette into a proper game mode, I'm gonna go insane. Yeah, there are some decent ones, right, that they could definitely rerun, but they're also introducing a bunch of new... Like, I don't have a problem with minigames as a whole. I have a problem with its minigames and nothing else. I also really wish WuWa had several roguelike modes like in PGR or in HSR. You can always spend some time playing it just for fun when there's new content left. Besides, it actually has interesting lore. WuWa tried, but Dreaming Deep turned out to be absolute ass. I think the thing with Dreaming Deep is that it feels like you don't really have to think at all to complete the game mode because of how easy they made it. And it essentially turned brainless. It becomes like second monitor content. And a lot of people don't like WuWa being second monitor content because it's never been like that. So I can understand a lot of people upset by it. I believe it's a side effect of their decision to go back to improve Renacida. Solon said in an interview they decided to go back to... Okay, why is this guy repeating himself? So yeah, people are just making excuses for it right now. I don't think that... I genuinely think it's not really any of this. I genuinely think it's Hoyoverse having its players transplant themselves into Wuthering Waves. And clearly, right, they're not playing it at even close to like the same level of commitment as they are their Hoyo games, but they still want to have their cake and eat it too. And Kuro is really starting to appease, like really doing their best to appease this part of the player base. But I don't think they realize that, again, they're basically chopping off their nose to spite their face over here. These guys are going to quit the game immediately. These guys are not going to stay with the game for a long time. They have other commitments that they're going to get to. And if you're engaging with the game at this level, where you're 30 plus days into the patch and you haven't touched any of the content, these guys are not going to like stay with the game for a long time. They're not going to be actual players of the game. They're already they have like, instead of like 1 foot out the door, they have 1 toenail in the room. That's essentially the breakdown of it. They're like not even playing at this point. How do you... It's 30 days into the patch and they're just admitting to touching none of the content. They're hiding their profile. And they're just busy with Hoyo games. And I think we'll cap it off with this one because I have some thoughts to share about this. Correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like an entire month of content for the end game, or an entire month of wait for the end game content. WuWa TOA holograms is too long to wait. Now I get the whole just play something else argument. What I want is a reason to use the new units I just pulled, not use them for 30 minutes and say sayonara to them until the next form of content comes. The game in combat is very fresh to use and look at, so rather than minigames, I'd rather to actually play the game itself and just have some sort of challenge for the long term. Oh, but we gotta think about the Hoyoverse players. We gotta think about the Hoyoverse players who can only dedicate 10 hours to the game across an entire 42-day patch because they're busy playing HSR and ZZZ and Genshin Impact. We gotta think about them, though. We don't, actually, by the way. Might just be me, though. And if people just like minigames and story, well, then I guess the game's perfect. I guess the game's perfect. Oh, yeah, that's why. Oh, and don't worry. Hey, if there are any ZZZ players watching, don't worry. It's the pendulum swings both ways. Oh, you might feel a little bit of gratification from this, but you're also probably not going to like it that much because it's still me doing it. Yeah, that's why after version 2.4 and the combat event and the minigame spam started, the game has just been losing viewers every single update. Oh yeah, people really love the current cycle. People love the current cycle of the patch updates for sure. Yeah, we should keep listening to everybody who says they should keep doing what they're doing, as every single metric for the game falls down since version 2.4. Every single metric for the game has fallen down since 2.4. You want to know what the only one that went up is? The average number of streams. While viewers went down. That's not good, by the way. That's actually bad, by the way, for the average number of streams to go up and then the total number of viewers to go down. That's bad, just so you guys know. And people will tell you, keep doing what you're doing. People will tell you that are clearly astroturfing the fuck out of the game. Keep doing what you're doing, Kuro Games. You're doing it right. You're listening. You're listening, Kuro Games. Yes, you're listening. As October is literally the worst month of the game since version 1.4. Yes, Kuro Games, keep listening. Yep, as the game is on a complete downtrend and is reaching 1.0 levels. Keep listening, Kuro. Yes, listen to all these Hoyo players who are playing WuWa for 10 hours a patch. It will surely end up well. It will surely end up well. So yeah, I think that'll be that for this one, ladies and gentlemen. There's definitely more threads that we could take a look at over here. There's more replies that we could take a look at, but we're getting close to about an hour on this recording, so I think I'll just cut it over here. Just keep in mind one simple thing when it comes to this entire issue, to this entire debacle, to the 2.7, the minigame, the lack of combat debate. A lot of people feel this way. And to make the argument that it's only CCs that are having an issue, to make this argument that it's only people that are trying to make content on the game that are having this issue, you're being so boneheaded, close-minded, and honestly, stupid. It's unreal. The realization that you guys need to have is that CCs are gamers too. Yes, a content creator for a game is oftentimes going to have the thoughts and opinions that other people that play the game have too. Otherwise, you got to think about it this way, guys. If people didn't agree with me, they wouldn't watch me. And so, naturally, the takes I make have a pretty high likelihood of actually being reflected by the player base because, well, people watch me. So, that's kind of how it works. And so, again, to be spreading the narrative that this is only a CC issue, that these are people just trying to jump ship, that everything's actually okay and bossing say, you're being incredibly stupid. And the realization should be that a lot of individuals are very unhappy with the current state of the game. They've been unhappy for months, and you're telling all of these individuals that they're wrong for what they think is causing the issues, and then you are uplifting literal, verified astroturfing Hoyoshills to the top of these subreddits with posts like this, admitting to just not even engaging with the game at all, and then saying how good it is, as every single metric for this game falls off a fucking cliff. Balls in your court, right? I've done all I can. There's a reason why I keep tackling this issue. Because of shit like this. And a lot of people aren't willing to go in, do the research, get the evidence, and find out just what type of people are in this community. So yeah, that'll be that for this one. Let me know what you all thought. Peace.